Okay, so this is how you survive an outing into the cold. So this is when you're going out in the woods. You're going to stay the night. You're going to stay maybe even multiple days out in the woods. How to stay warm, how to stay safe. I made this into a document, but I know people do a lot better with lecture type stuff. So here we go. Cold survival protocols. In quotes, there are no heroes, only liabilities. Just to explain that idea, if you're sharing a load across a group, if you're pushing yourself really extra hard to try and take away some of the work from the other people, you're only ever going to be able to take a small percentage of work away from the group as a whole. But if you push yourself too hard and you become a liability, you can cause the work to do each individual member of that group to do an extra 30% of work or something like that to now carry your load and potentially carry you. So don't burn yourself out. You're not helping anyone by doing that. Number one. Another big idea out in the cold is be bold and start cold. So this is before starting any sort of physical activity, moving wood around, setting up your site, doing the journey wherever you're traveling. You layer down right before you're about to exercise. So you be bold before you exercise and take off layers. So you prepare for the fact that you're about to generate a bunch of body heat. And this is so that you don't have to stop like a minute or two later and take off layers. You just be bold and start cold. Another big idea is when you're doing physical exercise and you need to take a break because you've layered down, you've been bold and started cold, your breaks should be under 1 minute if you're just kind of catching your breath, drinking water, having some salt, something like that. And they can be 5 minutes or longer if you layer up. So what you do if you're having a bit of a longer break is immediately put on at least one layer right when you stop, or 10 seconds, 20 seconds after you stop, and then keep layering up so that you don't feel cold at all. Of course, you want to avoid sweating. That's the other big rule, is just don't sweat. Make sure that you don't sweat. And that goes into our choices of clothing too. You want to have clothing that can still keep you warm if it's wet, just so that you're safe across all scenarios that could happen. So preparation for your outing. This is at least 1 to 2 weeks before the outing. Really important the week before you go out. High calorie diet. You want to make sure that you've got lots of stores of fat and lots of glycogen stores, especially the week before you go out. You really want to make sure you're eating tons of calories, lots of simple carbs. So in terms of that, just having a large eating window is the opposite of intermittent fasting. If you want to just very easily eat fewer calories, you eat in a shorter window. If you want to very easily eat more calories, just try and eat a longer window. So from the moment you wake up to just an hour before bed, try and be eating throughout that day every couple hours. Lots of simple carbs and fat. My favorite ones for those, just so I'm not eating like a ton of garbage, is mashed potato, squash, or sweet potato. You can mix in butter, cream if you eat it. That's my favorite food. I just feel like I can just eat tons of that. I'll eat 4 or 5 sweet potatoes a day, getting ready for these trips that I go on. Tons of butter, tallow, or healthy fats. I like just having a slice of bread. Like I'll have a slice of bread like this with a quarter pound of butter, like a stick of butter. I'll have a quarter to a third of that on every slice of bread that I have, and it's fucking delicious. If you let your toast cool down a little bit, it's easier to get like a thick slab of butter on there. But you want to just be eating tons of fat. And if appetite is an issue, like sometimes I find that I'm actually, it's kind of hard for me to eat lots of calories. I like a sweet ginger tea. And if I have, a bit of honey and ginger tea or something like that, the ginger helps settle the stomach, and then the little bit of sugar spikes your blood sugar. And then as your blood sugar gets lower after, that stimulates your hunger. So that's a great way to kind of trick yourself into eating a little bit more. The other thing for the preparation of those 2 weeks, you want high calorie intake, and you also want to get used to a high calorie output. This keeping yourself warm. Out in the woods, most of your heat is going to be coming from your body, a little bit from fires, but mostly it's just your body burning the stores that you've got to keep yourself warm. So you want to get the body used to spending a lot more calories through the day. That system takes a week or two to ramp up, and several days. You don't want to be sort of suffering in the woods for those days as your body ramps up. So lots of light exercise throughout the day for those couple weeks leading up to it. It's more about the amount of time that you're exercising over the intensity. Because if you work out really hard for half an hour, you don't burn nearly as many calories as if you do light exercise for 3 or 4 hours. Letting yourself get cold a few times a day. So you can just go out in a t-shirt and wait. And for this, it's more about the number of times you do this than the intensity of the time that you do this. So a cold plunge is not really going to do it. You want to just let your body get cold and do that as many times as you can. Don't push too hard with this stuff. You just want to get cold. You don't want to be like freezing. Just let yourself get a little bit cold. No suffering. As soon as you feel like just go in. And leaving your window open a crack at night. That's a crack to all the way, whatever you're comfortable with, but just sleeping in a colder room also just means that your body is getting used to burning more calories to keep you warm. On to clothing. Most important thing with clothing is no cotton, none, 0%. 0% of the material. So some things you'll get are like a cotton blend. They're 10% cotton. That's really important that you don't have absolutely any cotton. Biggest one that people forget is underwear. So get some nylon or merino wool or something like that underwear. Also, big thing with clothing is that your layers are not too tight. Because if your layers are squeezing your limbs, it doesn't matter how warm they are, your blood's not going to be able to get to your extremities, and that is not good at all. So you will need 1 to 2 pairs of wool socks and an optional spare pair for sleeping. That's more if you're doing more days, but I like this sort of stuff. You also want to make sure that the fuzzy part is facing your foot, so this is on the inside, not on the outside. And I like to double up layers if they'll fit, or just have a single layer if I've got an insulated boot. And the spare pair of socks is amazing for sleep. If you just put on a fresh pair of socks, you feel like you've gotten in a bath. It's really nice when you've been out there. So I definitely recommend that. Underwear, nylon or wool, we talked about that. Just make sure it's not cotton. 1 to 2 hats. So you want to make sure your hats are not too tight. I like to wear a bit of a thinner hat like this, put that on, and then I've got a bigger, thicker hat like that. The thing that you can pay attention to with all the clothing is how thick they are, so the loft. So something like this is almost an inch thick. That's going to keep you really warm. Something like this is only a few millimeters thick, so this will just keep me slightly warm. But these two together, I get an added additive kind of effect. The other one that I would definitely get is at least 1 buff. So this is the thing, if you ever watch Survivor, they give out all these buffs and people wear them all sorts of funny ways. It's kind of like a thneed, but I like to use this mostly just for my neck. And we'll get into weaving layers in a second, but this is a really great way to just seal up this gap. And then you can also pull it quite a bit over where you would think you would want it to go at the back, and then layer here. And now this is all like doubled up. So I'm really warm here. Nice thing about this one's nylon, so I can just pull it over my face for a second. And if this part gets wet with my breath, which it will very soon, it's fine. I can pull it out of the way. It's not gonna make me very cold. If I've got a wool buff, I would not be pulling that over my face. Wool does still keep you warm while it's wet, but not quite as well as nylon does. So I'd get at least 1 of these. You can also wear them, there's a million ways, but you can also wear them on your head like this and just kind of tuck it back. And then there's also, hold on, let me get this. There's also the ninja way of doing it. Like that, but this is actually a novelty. It doesn't really do anything. So there you go, buffs are great. Really good, can't recommend it enough. And you can find merino wool ones. They're a little bit more expensive. The nylon ones, don't pay more than $10 for one of these. That's about what it should cost. Okay, optional scarf or similar. You could also just get a couple buffs, but something to cover that area extra is always good. And 1 to 2 pair of gloves. So I'd get one of those thin pair of gloves that you usually just wear around town, and a thicker pair of gloves over, or just a good thick pair of gloves. If you can, make sure those are waterproof. That's super helpful. And then a backpack or some sort of solution for carrying your unused layers. You don't want to have them kind of draped around your body. It's nice to have them in a pack. Then for your lower body, you'll want to have 1 to 2 pair of long johns. These can be nylon or wool. Wool is really, really warm for these long johns. You'll also need waterproof winter pants or fleece pants with rain pants over. So you're basically making yourself winter pants. Fleece is this material. It's like, this is my granny's sweater actually, but it was super popular in the 80s. You can find lots of fleece. I can't recommend enough you get all of your fleece from Valley Village. Fleece pants are harder to find though. So if you want to get those, I'll talk about this in a second, but there's a few sources you can get those. So one or the other, you gotta have waterproof winter pants or fleece pants with the rain pants over. And for all of your rain gear, I definitely recommend a single layer version of them because they make doubled up layers that are supposed to, I don't know what the logic is, but the two layers end up just holding water inside it when they get wet. Single layer rain pants are the way to go. I got a great pair from Walmart for 20 bucks and it's lasted me like 3 years. And the pair that I had before that was some like older, really nice pair of rain pants that just sucks in comparison to the single layer ones. So definitely recommend single layer rain gear. And waterproof boots. So ideally those would be insulated. You can get away with like leather hiking boots or leather boots as long as they're pretty loose, and you can have two pairs of wool socks under there. Then for your top, you're gonna wanna have 1 to 2 base layers. So that's like a long sleeve t-shirt. And this is one place I would maybe recommend investing if you can't find a good merino layer. This is just like a piece that you'll have for life. This I've had since I was, I think 16, something like that. And it's been on with me, I don't know, at least 150, 175 days out in the woods, something like that. And it's just covered in men's, like, I don't know if you can really see that, but I've just mended it a bunch of times with mending wool. There's literally, the thing is covered with repairs, but this thing has lasted me super well. I think I paid maybe 80 bucks for it 15 years ago, but it's lasted me super well, and maybe it'll outlast me. So super good. Can't recommend wool layers enough for the base layer. And this kind of thing, even though in the city this would be like I think this is nylon, but it would be closer to a sweater. For me, this is so thin that this is actually a base layer. Like it's a little thicker at the collar, but this is not going to keep you very warm at all. It's 1 or 2 millimeters thick. So you got that, and then on top you've got 1 to 2 fleeces or wool sweaters. And again, you want to look for the thickness of the material. This fleece, you can see, is pretty thick. Like it's a good thickness, slightly thinner in the body than it is at the collar, but still it's got a good bit of loft to it, and that the thickness is essentially all that matters, much more than even what the material is. Definitely would look for secondhand stores, Valley Village, Sally Ann, that kind of thing. And usually the uglier the sweater, the warmer it is. So that's the rule. And then a waterproof winter coat could go over, or a lofty jacket with a large raincoat over. So I've got one of these very compressible wool things. I just got it, no, sorry, this is down. I just got it last year, and this is actually really great. So having a layer like this with a raincoat over, or a waterproof winter coat. Those are the last layers. Yep, secondhand stores, Costco and Walmart are good resources. I would not recommend getting this stuff from Mountain Equipment Co-op or other similar camping-oriented stores, because you'll tend to pay much more than you really have to. They're more kind of like luxury deluxe camping gear. And I would check out even Facebook Marketplace. Secondhand is the way to go for most of this stuff, for sure. So that's it, clothing preparation. How to warm up. So the simplest thing you can do to warm up is pee and retuck your layers. So if you were to look at like a cross view, you should have your underwear, something tucked into your underwear, and then some layers there, and then a layer of long johns, and then another layer of your top, and then a layer of your pants, and get as much of that interweaving kind of thing so that there's no air that can make it through those gaps. The waist is the most important place to do this, but you also want to do it for your ankles. So you'd have a pair of socks, then long johns, then a pair of socks, then long johns, or if you only have one pair of socks, long johns under. Anyway, you're interweaving at the ankles, at the wrists with your gloves and the layers there, and especially at the neck. So that's Where did I put that buff? That's what I was talking about. This stuff that you can layer this so the buff is down underneath your shirt, and you've got a shirt coming over, then your buff is here, your hats are interwoven with that too. Really, really important to keep cold air from just getting in. And that's part of the reason that you're layering overall anyway, is that those layers will all seal in wind. If you were just wearing like just really warm pants and a warm coat over, perfectly freezing air would be making it in all around you. Whereas if you're woven up like this, maybe you still have the same amount of like warmth on your body, but it becomes impenetrable. And that's why the waterproof layers on the outside are maybe the most important thing of this whole clothing thing, because you want to be able to cut the wind. All this stuff will keep you warm with no wind, but as soon as there's wind, that blows through your layers unless you have raincoat sealing it in. And of course you want to make sure through all this that you're not sweating. I also prefer fleeces that are a full zip like this, because it makes it way easier to layer up and layer down. You don't have to pull something over your whole head. And sometimes if you want to cool down just for a second, you want to be bold and start cold, all you need to do is just undo your zipper. And you can have, if both your fleeces are full zips, you can go zip, zip, and then let the cold in against your base layers, and that'll cool you down pretty quickly. A little bit of heat does leak through the zippers, but it's not nearly a big enough problem to outweigh the factor that like the full zip is so convenient. So I would definitely recommend that. Retuck your layers. The last one is light exercise. You can use this to get warm, but do it as sparingly as possible. You don't want to be spending extra calories to stay warm. You want to be adding layers or adding a heat source to stay warm, and we'll get to that in a second. So what are the warning signs that you're too cold? These are in order. Chills, like feeling chilled in your body, and actually running, like shooting feelings of chills. The second one is unusual severe tiredness. So if you're really tired at night, that's not a big problem, but suddenly feeling a drop in energy, that's a warning sign as well. Unstoppable chattering and shivering. So you might have a little bit of that kind of thing going on, but when it is unstoppable, essentially, when it's ever present, and through the body too, if your shaking is not stopping, like a shake here and there is not a problem, but if it's really consistent shaking, that's quite a big warning sign. And then the danger warning sign is some sort of loss of level of consciousness. So if you are becoming less aware, like if you're heading down the rabbit hole of consciousness, that's an emergency, and you got to apply the warming protocol. So a test could be something like remember, spell out a 3-digit number, or I know you guys are doing like hand signal stuff, so something I was thinking, if you just added 3 single-digit numbers, something like, and if you can do that math in your head, even just 2, I know we're not all good at math, but if you can do that math in your head, you probably have a decent level of consciousness. And if you can't do it, especially with a second chance, no argument, you just have to do the warming protocol. That's it. So what is the warming protocol? Number 1 is you get a lifeguard, you get a babysitter. So one person is responsible for monitoring that person's level of consciousness, making sure that it's going up and not down. You want to add layers that aren't tight, so coats, blankets, and tarps, so long as nobody else is becoming cold. Protection from the wind, so you could add, again, a tarp or something like that. The pee and retuck, so the person who is cold should pee immediately and retuck in their layers. And if it's a really sort of bad situation, they're very cold, you'll want to get a water bottle full of pee from everyone in the group. So everyone in the group pees into the bottle, and then you tuck that into the jacket of the person who is cold. It's a really good way to warm up. It's unbelievable how much added warm water will heat you up as a heat source. It'll last 20 minutes, half an hour, something like that. And the last one is light exercise for a short period. So the person that's cold can do a little bit of light exercise, as long as they're still well coordinated. Your coordination goes down a lot when you're cold. So if all you can do is bounce in place, that's good, but any light exercise is okay, but only for 1 to 3 minutes. If that's not warming you up by that point, you should just add these other methods to make you warm. I would not do too much exercise, because you're depleting the energy in your body, and that's not a good idea. Don't try to exercise away the cold. This doesn't work for long, leaves your energy stores depleted. Don't give body heat to somebody else or take body heat from somebody else. It's not a good way to warm up. It's fine to stand like penguins and have the heat that's leaking out of my body anyway, or help me, I can help you protect yourself from the wind, but I should not be taking off layers and touching cold parts of your body to warm parts of my body. It's a bad idea. One cold person is easy to handle, two cold people is really bad, and it just kind of escalates from there. Also, don't rub somebody who is cold. It's a really bad idea. You squeeze out the warm air that's stored in their body, and then cold air can make it back in. And the friction doesn't get down to the skin. It doesn't do anything. So don't rub somebody who is cold. That doesn't work with all the layers on. And that is it. That's all the cold exposure stuff I could think of. If you have any questions, please send them to me. Good luck, guys. You got it. You got it.